Hey guys, how's it going? AK Moto here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be working on the bike right behind me, the CRF450L Supermoto. And in this video, we just have some maintenance to get done. We have to do an oil change. I have to check the valve adjustment on the bike. And there's also a couple little small things I want to fix on the bike. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop into the valve adjustment. I want to do that first. And then after that, we can go ahead and do that oil change. I have a couple little new parts here and there. This bike actually has had a little bit of a valve cover leak going on for a little while. It's been small enough to where I'm not really worried about it, but it's something that I think we're gonna be able to fix in this video. But yeah, let's get right to this. It's kind of, we have to disassemble the same parts to address this leak and to check the valves. So we're gonna do both of those here first. And yeah, for now we have to take off the skid plate to get this bike on the stand, so let's do that. So here, one other detail I actually need to fix on the bike besides just the maintenance is this bolt right here. You can actually see it's loose because I am spinning the washer behind it. But this bolt has actually stripped out. The threads for this bolt have stripped out. So, you know, I kind of made it work temporarily during the last oil change, but that's something we're also going to be fixing today. And I'll probably be doing that kind of towards the end. But that's a little minor issue that I do want to fix on the bike. It's just the threads behind here have stripped out. Luckily, there's a super easy way to fix this, and that's what we're going to be doing in this video as well. And here, as you guys can see on the bottom of the skid plate, obviously it's caught some oil. I've been well aware of this oil leak. Keep in mind, this is over pretty much like 900 miles from the last oil change I did. So, you know, not too bad of an oil leak. It's not straight out, you know, gushing out of the motor or anything, but it's definitely there, and we're definitely losing some oil, something we're gonna fix, obviously, here today, hopefully. Alright y'all, and I have my owner's manual out right now, so we're looking at for our intake valve clearance, 4 thou plus or minus 1 thou in inches, or 0.11 millimeters plus or minus 0.03 millimeters for our intake. And for our exhaust, we're looking at 0.011 thou plus or minus 0.001, or 0.28 millimeters plus or minus 0.03. But yeah, I'll just put them on the screen. And yeah, we're gonna be measuring our valve clearances right now. And we're just gonna use feeler gauges. On this motor, it's a little tight to get in there, especially for the intake valves, but we'll make it work. And one tip I do have is just to bend your feeler gauges. You know, bending your feeler gauges isn't gonna ruin them. It just helps you really work them into the valve clearance, kind of between the valve buckets, and it just makes things a little bit easier. Don't be afraid to bend your feeler gauges. So I checked all the valve clearances on the bike. Everything's actually looking really good. We're still within OEM spec that it calls for in the manual pretty much all the way around. And as far as our oil leak situation, I've actually been taking a look at the OEM Honda valve cover gasket that I bought for the bike versus what we had on there already. Now I'm pretty sure the valve cover gasket that I had on there, if I remember correctly, is not the OEM brand. Well, I know for a fact it's not an OEM one, but I don't remember exactly what brand it is. I don't mean to flame on whatever brand it is. What I was gonna say there is I have basically an aftermarket gasket, and when I went to go size up that gasket using some little calipers, it actually seems like the old gasket we're moving, that we are removing off the bike, is actually a little bit thinner than the brand new Honda OEM genuine one. So I'm almost thinking that maybe we just had a gasket that just straight up didn't properly fit the bike, and that's what was causing so much oil from leaking. I was thinking at first it was going to be the seal around the spark plug hole because it wasn't in there perfectly, but that seal was completely dry. It's very obvious that the oil leak is just from the valve cover gasket. So putting this Honda OEM one on, I think should fix our issue. It's actually a little bit thicker, but with that being said, you know, if we ever do have to come back to this, if this issue does persist, then we could always try some silicone if we have to. When I disconnected the breather hose off the valve cover, I made sure to test it, shoot some air through it, make sure it's not clogged. So we know our crankcase is getting all the ventilation it needs, or at least the kind of top of the bike, the valve cover is getting all the ventilation it needs. So I know there's no pressure, no excessive pressure building up or anything. It's just a matter of that gasket actually holding. And again, because I took off the old one, measured it, and found it to be a little bit thinner than it needs to be, I really do think that our fix here with just having an OEM gasket is going to be, you know, all we need. But yeah, now that we know the valve clearances are good, we can pretty much start undoing what we just did, buttoning things back up, except this time with our new valve cover gaskets. Now, of course, I'm replacing the kind of perimeter gasket as well as the spark plug hole gasket, and pretty much all the gaskets on that little cover I'm replacing. But I think it's the one that we're replacing for the perimeter gasket is what's actually going to fix the issue. Alrighty boys, so we have hopefully solved our oil leak. So we've replaced all of the gaskets in the valve cover assembly. Next, all we have to do is our engine oil change. I quickly started up the bike just in case anything fell, many little tiny pieces of debris fell into the motor during the time we had the valve cover off. I wanted that oil to very shortly circulate just so it can catch it before we actually drain it. So we're gonna go ahead and do exactly that. We're gonna drain our old engine oil, fill her up with brand new oil. We have a brand new oil filter, of course, and then I also got a little piece. For a lot of you guys who like to bling out your bikes, you're probably familiar, you know, you can get these little anodized aluminum oil filter covers for 4 strokes, and I wanted to get one just purely because my current one on the bike is, you know, pretty heavily corroded. So I got this and some new hardware. You know, just biggest thing was there's just so much corrosion on the current cover. I want to replace it. It looks ugly, even though once the bike's actually together, you'll be able to actually see this. Just me knowing I don't have a corroded part on there is just gonna make me a little happier. So here we are going to drain the old oil. On these bikes it has like a Allen plug style drain bolt. But I'm gonna get this draining before I actually go and take off the oil filter, just so we can, you know, get it draining. I will say, obviously I just ran the bike for a very short period, so hopefully it's not too warm or anything. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. And I will say the bottom of this bike's motor definitely still has a lot of oil residue on it. Honestly, I'm not really gonna stress too much about it. I'm not gonna go crazy trying to clean it off today. I'm just gonna wait till the next time I wash the bike, which it is kind of in need of a wash. But I'm just gonna wait till the next time I wash the bike, and then I'll really hit it with some degreaser around the engine. Just spend a little more time on it. Probably take off all the engine covers I have on it. So this side clutch cover, the ignition cover, and the skid plate. But for now, I just wanna get everything mechanically sound so we can keep putting some miles on this bike. I apologize if the light's a little crappy on this side right now. I promise I'll move you guys to better lighting here in a second. But for now, just know here I'm gonna replace the oil filter on this side of the bike, so I have to remove this little plastic cover, and then we can just swap out that oil filter, and both the oil filter and the little cover that I have the new anodized aluminum one for, we're gonna replace that as well. I promised, showing you guys this little cover in better lighting. And again, it looks great, especially with the new hardware on there. You know, it was just an eyesore to look at all that corrosion with the cover and the old hardware, especially something that I have to remove frequently when doing something like an oil change. So although you won't be able to actually see this part on the bike because I do choose to run the little plastic covers, it's still something I can appreciate as the owner of the bike nonetheless, even though most people won't ever see this. So we're gonna fill the bike up with oil. I went ahead and installed the new oil filter. We have drained the old oil, obviously, and then now all we have to do is take off this little plug, fill in our new oil. This bike is gonna take 39, I believe it's 39 or 40 fluid ounces of oil, so we're gonna fill that in right now. And if you guys haven't seen the oil change tutorial I did on this bike, top right of your screen, you can check that out. Alrighty, so we have all the maintenance that we immediately needed to do on the bike done. Now, of course, we still do need to rethread that one hole. Now, one thing I've kind of decided on is I don't really just want to put all these engine covers back on the engine when I know it's still oily, when I know there's things I still have to do on the engine, you know, cleaning all the old oil off. Plus, you know, it's best practice to try and at least clean most of the oil off of a place that had an oil leak before, so that way you can determine if it's actually fixed or not, or whether it's just old residual oil. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna wash this bike. It does, you know, it could use a wash. It's not too dirty by any means, but it could use a wash. And I'm gonna go ahead and take off the engine covers again. I still have the left side little plastic cover off. I just need to take off the clutch cover, plastic cover off, skid plate's already off, but I'm just gonna go ahead and wash this bike, you know, do it right or do it twice. So yeah, I'm actually gonna cut to the next clip of, you know, when we're actually washing the bike, cleaning all the old oil off of the engine, just so, you know, we can make sure our fix actually fixed this. But yeah, all the actual hardcore maintenance is done. In the next clip you guys will see, we're gonna go ahead and tackle that rethreaded hole we need to do, and then just cleaning all the old engine off of the, all the old engine oil off of the engine, off of the frame, all that good stuff. So I'll see you guys in the next clip, because obviously it's nighttime right now. Can't wash the bike right now. And see you guys in the next clip. Alrighty guys, so it is actually a couple of days later, and a little recap. Bike's back here. We already did all the maintenance we needed to do, so we did the oil change. We went ahead and adjusted, or at least checked the valve clearances. We didn't have to adjust anything. And now all we have to do is I'm gonna clean the bike. It's not too dirty. You know, it has a little bit of dirt on it, but main thing is we want to clean up all that old oil residue, and now's a great time while we have the engine cover and the skid plate off. I'm just gonna remove that clutch side engine cover as well really quick, and we're just gonna get all that nice and clean and oil free. I'm like 99% sure that new valve cover gasket will fix our issue, but worst case scenario, if we do for some reason continue to have a leak, everything will be clean and we'll be able to spot it right away. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take that other side engine cover off right now. I'll show you guys a clip of that so you know what I'm talking about. We'll get it outside, we'll clean it up, clean up all that old oil, and just get the bike nice and clean. So we're gonna have a fresh oil change and a nice clean bike. So let's get right to it. So for getting this bike nice and clean, I'm really just using a little bit of car wash soap mixed with some water in a bucket and a microfiber to actually scrub the bike. I have a couple extra little brushes as well. And for the actual engine degrease, I'm just gonna use a little bit of Simple Green. I'm using it diluted 10:1. Definitely a pretty good dilution, it's not super strong. Most of the real cleanup that we're gonna be doing is gonna be just with using little brushes and things of that nature. When it comes to dirt bikes, especially with all these metal surfaces, I prefer not to use anything super aggressive. So just for my routine washes nowadays, I just use car soap, just because it's so easy to come by. And yeah, again, just a little bit of diluted Simple Green, just in the engine area, just because we have all that oil. And then the one area that I do use a motorcycle specific product is going to be on the chain. So I'm going to use Maxima chain cleaner, and then I'm just going to re-lubricate the chain with some Maxima chain lube that I have here as well. It's no ring chain, or it's an X-ring chain, so technically it doesn't need lubrication, but it's still good to put some on there so it doesn't rust after you wash it. And again, we're still going to clean up the chain, use a little chain brush to get that clean. Other than that, everything else is just a little bit of soapy water and some scrubbing. Alrighty, so we got the bike all washed up and clean behind me. I went ahead and cleaned and dried up those engine covers. They have little foam bits in them, and those soaked up a little bit of oil, so I got most of them out, especially here on the ignition side for some reason. Makes sense, the bike, when it leans over on the kickstand, leans towards this cover, so it makes sense that this cover caught more oil. But yeah, basically just, tried to clean out some of the foam on the inside there, got them pretty dry and free of oil. And yeah, we're just gonna bolt those covers back onto the engine. I personally choose to run them on the bike. A lot of people remove them and don't put them back on, and that's completely fine because that's how the race versions, the motocross versions come of these bikes. They don't have any little plastic engine covers on them, but I choose to run them because well, I'm riding this bike on the road. The little foam pieces help to reduce NVH and make the engine just a little bit quieter, which isn't really something I'm too worried about, but it definitely does reduce NVH. And these also act as a little bit of a thermal barrier between the engine and your foot. And if you're not wearing super big motocross boots, it's definitely nice to have a little bit of coverage from the hot engine parts. So I just choose to run them. It's not a very big deal in my opinion, just to still run them on the bike. But yeah, I'm gonna get them bolted up, and then we actually have to fix our skid plate threads there on the right side, but after that we can bolt that up as well, and I'll show you guys what we're gonna do for that. Engine covers are back on. Literally the only thing that we have left to do is to fix the kind of messed up threads on the right side mounting point for our skid plate. Now what I'm going to be using is a helicoil kit. I have it kind of sitting on the bench back there. This one in particular is made by Tusk, but honestly any real helicoil kit will work. Over time, when I've dealt with stripped aluminum threads, I kind of prefer just to put a helicoil in it. Another option would be just to simply drill the hole and tap it to be a little bit bigger, and it'll accommodate a slightly bigger bolt size. But in my opinion, the helicoil is just a great repair because we're putting threads in there that are going to be stronger than the original aluminum ones. We're putting a little steel helicoil in there, and steel is definitely a little bit harder to strip out than aluminum, given all other factors are pretty much the same. So we're putting stronger threads in there. We get to keep using our OEM bolts. We don't have to go with a bigger bolt than what we're supposed to do. So in my opinion, if you want just like a factory OEM plus almost type of finish, I think a helicoil for a situation like this will work great. So all we're gonna have to do is drill out our old threads. In the little kit I bought, they provided a drill bit, and we're just gonna tap some new threads for the helicoil. We're gonna install the helicoil, and it'll be pretty much all done. I've done this repair plenty of times for things like swing arm threads. In fact, on this bike, that's one of the main reasons I had to tear down this bike, was because swing arm threads, those were a nightmare. So we used a very similar method to repair those. I'll put that video on the top right of your screen. And I've just had lots of little threads over time strip out. Helicoils tend to work pretty well. So here it's a little bit out of the frame, but I just went ahead and took off my exhaust pipe header bolts and loosened it, and I just moved it out of the way a little bit just to make sure we have plenty of space to get our drill bit and our drill in here and make sure we're drilling this hole straight. And yeah, essentially we're just gonna start drilling, and then just a matter of getting our threads in there for our helicoil, insert our helicoil into there, and we're gonna have fixed threads. So I mean, I guess biggest thing to worry about for this step is just to make sure you're drilling straight, following the orientation of the hole as it is now. And here for tapping in our new threads, again, these are the threads for the helicoil to thread into. I have the tap here provided, and I just sprayed them with a little bit of oil, and then yeah, all we have to do is tap these out. Main thing when using a tap is you just go, just a quarter, maybe half a turn at a time, and then back it out, and then just do that same motion back and forth. Most people will use a tap handle, and generally you want to use a tap handle, but here, just because of space, I'm just going to use a T-handle. And then here, this is installing our new helicoil. Again, we have a couple of these provided in the kit. And I prefer to put a very small amount of red Loctite in these. You don't have to, but I like to do that just to make sure they never come loose. And here we're just gonna gently work these in. Just gonna go till it's just barely past flush, and then we can go ahead and break off this little tab. And there we go, we've installed our Healy coil. Now we can, again, just test our bolt out, make sure it goes all the way in there. And just like that, we have completed a whole lot of little maintenance items we need for the Supermoto. And honestly, I can't really think of anything that's wrong with this bike right now. It's literally just perfect, ready to ride. We fixed the only issue that's been in the back of my mind, which is that one little bolt that was starting to strip out. Got that all fixed up with a Healy coil kit. I'm not gonna lie, I could have done a little bit better of a job getting it in there straight. It's not perfect. I really wasn't shooting for perfection, but could have done a little bit better of a job. I mean, it's gonna function perfectly fine, and honestly, you can't even tell unless you're like sitting from the side seeing how straight that bolt is. Nonetheless though, everything's fixed. This bike is all washed up, nice and shined up, looking real good. Fresh oil change. We accomplished a lot of maintenance. I just aired up the tires just now because the weather's starting to cool down. So the tires were a little bit low. For those wondering, I'm running 25 PSI in these tires right now. I only ride this bike pretty casually on the street, so no real reason to go too much lower for me. But yeah. Hope you guys have enjoyed this quick little video. Let me know if there's any videos you guys want to see with this CRF450L Supermoto, any maintenance, anything you guys want me to go into more detail about, or if you guys just want me to see some more videos on this bike, just let me know. But till next time, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.